I've always found it hard to keep track and remember the 12 disciples of Jesus. So here's how I managed to remember them all, with details about who they are and what happened to them after the events of the Bible. Now, in truth, our main man Jesus had over 70 disciples, but only 12 were chosen, the apostles. First up, we have the brothers. Now, the brothers were Jesus' first 4 disciples, all fishermen. Jesus declared to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fisher of men." The first 2 brothers, James and John, Jesus gave the nickname Sons of Thunder. They likely earned this nickname because, early in their walk with Jesus, they were insulted by some Samaritans. So they asked that the Lord call down fire from heaven to destroy the Samaritans. Jesus strongly rebuked them for such actions and gave them the nickname Sons of Thunder. They would have to learn that Jesus' mission was of a very different type. James was a passionate spirit with a heart for the Lord. First disciple to be martyred, he was the only disciple whose death is recorded in the Bible. He largely preached in Jerusalem, but later legends have him traveling as far as Spain, trying to fulfill Jesus' commandment of spreading the word to the ends of the earth. He's often associated with pilgrims, which is why he is often depicted with a staff, and his shield contains 3 scallops, a symbol long associated with pilgrimages. If you travel the Camino de Santiago in Spain, you'll see the symbol everywhere. John, the second son of thunder, the young dreamer of the group, he's traditionally portrayed as focusing on love and theology, which gained him the title of Jesus' most beloved disciple. He's credited with the Book of John and is the only disciple that died of natural causes. He's often depicted with a book and an eagle, one of the 4 living creatures mentioned in Ezekiel and Revelation. John's shield has on it a cup with a snake in it, recalling a later legend in which poison was poured into his cup, but he survived protected by his faith. Next up, we have the 2 brothers, Peter and Andrew. Peter, always bold and impulsive, be it trying to walk on water with Jesus, or claiming he'll die by Jesus' side, only to then deny him 3 times till the roosters call. He is often depicted with 2 keys, referring to when Jesus said, "I will entrust you with the keys to the heaven of kingdom." He preached first in Judah and Samaria, and then finally to Rome, where he was executed under the order of Emperor Nero. He was to be crucified, but he did not think himself worthy to be crucified like Jesus, so he asked that his cross be turned upside down. So the upside down cross is actually a holy symbol, one thing that Hollywood gets wrong often. Next up, we have Peter's brother, Andrew, the humble people person. He introduced many to Jesus. He preached around the Black Sea, modern Ukraine/Russia, and then later in Greece. He was crucified on an X-shaped cross, which we now identify as St. Andrew's Cross, which you might recognize from a few flags. Next up, we'll look at the 4 friends who ride together and died together. First 2 friends we have are Jude Theudas and Simon the Zealot. Jude Theudas is often portrayed as a loyal truth seeker. He is the patron saint of lost causes. This is because his actual name is Judas, but people didn't want to confuse him with the Judas the betrayer. For this reason, he is often the last saint the Catholics turn to for help. So he hears only the prayers of the most desperate and delivers miracles to those who need it most. He preached in Mesopotamia, Syria, Libya, and Persia. He is often depicted holding an image of Jesus, referring to an early legend in which he brought an image of Jesus' face to King Akbar, which could be a reference to the Shroud of Turin, one of the most studied artifacts in all of history. For more on that, check out the description below. Many traditions have Jude being martyred by being axed or clubbed to death, alongside Simon the Zealot. His shield depicts a ship, denoting how much he traveled. Simon the Zealot, noted for his passion and radicalness, was formerly a zealot, a nationalist group of radicals in Israel at the time, trying to overthrow the Roman occupation. His revolutionary ideas make his decision to follow Jesus, who presented a message of peace and love, a radical shift in his development. He preached in Egypt and North Africa, and then in Persia and possibly Armenia alongside Jude. He's often depicted with a saw, denoting his form of martyrdom, in which he was sawed in half, as some traditions hold alongside Jude. Now to the next two friends. Next up, we have Doubting Thomas, practical and analytical. When Jesus resurrected, he said he would not believe until he could take his finger and put it into the hole where the spear pierced. When Jesus appeared before him, he said, "Put your finger here. See my hand? Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas did so and then broke down weeping, saying, "My Lord, my God." Thomas preached throughout the Far East, many traditions saying as far as India. In the Indian tradition, Thomas and Bartholomew traveled together, and Thomas was martyred by being speared by a soldier. On his shield is depicted a ruler because he built the church in India, and a spear. Thomas's friend Bartholomew was identified by Nathanael as being without guilt. He preached in Armenia, and some sources say as far as Parthian and India. He is often depicted with a flaying knife, as he was martyred by being flayed alive and then beheaded. Now on to the last four. First up, Matthew, the former tax collector, is often described as being very meticulous and contemplative. His gospel is very focused on details, such as Jesus' family lineage. He's often depicted with a money bag, denoting that he was a tax collector. He preached in Africa, perhaps Ethiopia, and also perhaps Persia and Parthia. He was martyred by being stabbed or speared to death. First up, we have Philip, inquisitive and pragmatic. He's often depicted as having bread alongside him, because of him questioning whether Jesus could feed the crowds of thousands with only a few loaves of bread. He preached largely in Asia Minor around Greece and Syria and Anatolia. He was martyred by either crucifixion or hanging. Next up, we have James the Lesser. He was likely called this to distinguish him from James the Greater, kind of like how we today might say Big John or Little John. He is often identified as the first bishop of Jerusalem. He preached in Egypt and possibly Persia. He's often depicted with a club or a fuller's bat. He was martyred by being thrown off the temple in Jerusalem and then stoned and finally clubbed to death. Finally, we have Judas Iscariot, the betrayer. Often portrayed as a treacherous figure, he is sometimes also portrayed as a tragic figure. Common symbols associated with him is the 30 pieces of silver, a snake, and a noose. After betraying Jesus, he was so racked with guilt, he returned the 30 pieces of silver and hanged himself, or tried to hang himself and fell on some rocks. The heretical Gnostic Gospel of Judas praised Judas as having secret knowledge. It claims more that by betraying Jesus, he was actually following God's plan. If you like this video, please check out my other video on the early depictions of Jesus. Thanks for watching, God bless, and have a good one.